I moved to Pine Ridge a few weeks ago. After losing my husband, I needed a fresh start. Pine Ridge seemed perfect on the surface. The houses were pretty, and the park was tidy. But something felt off. I couldn't shake that feeling. One evening, while I was unpacking, I heard voices outside. It was strange because the town felt so quiet during the day. I thought maybe the locals were celebrating, but I didn't see any children. It felt odd, but I pushed it aside. I wanted to fit in and help where I could. The next few weeks, I kept hearing whispers at night. I felt there were gatherings outside my window, but I could barely make out the words. I felt a creeping unease. I asked neighbors about the noise, but they avoided my questions. Their nervous glances at each other made my heart race. Curiosity got the better of me. Late one night, I saw flickering lights from the old Halbert estate. I didn't know much about the Halberts, but I heard whispers about their strange traditions. I walked closer, my hands trembling. The sounds grew louder but felt distant, like they were hidden. When I got home, I couldn't stop thinking about it. Was I imagining things? Was the isolation getting to me? Every night, the voices persisted. I tried to convince myself it was just part of moving, but dread settled over me. Nights became restless. The coldness crept in whenever I heard those sounds. Sometimes, I thought I heard someone calling my name, but that couldn't be right. Could it? There was always this weight in the air, like the town held something back. One night, I decided to follow the voices. I stepped outside and walked toward the estate. My heart raced. The air felt heavy, my breath coming in quick bursts. I saw a figure move by the window, but I dismissed it as my imagination. Then I heard a chilling laugh. It echoed through the night. I stopped, frozen in my spot. I was about to turn back when I heard someone say, "They never buried their dead in the fields of Pine Ridge." I stood still, confusion swirling inside me. What did that mean? I tried to leave, but my legs felt heavy. I felt eyes on me. Fear knotted my stomach as the laughter grew louder, wrapping around me. And then I realized I wasn't alone. Figures emerged from the shadows, their eyes glowing with a strange light. They were looking at me, whispering to one another. I tried to back away, but dread held me in place. Their faces were pale, and their smiles were wide, too wide. "You can help us," one of them said. His voice dripped with something dark. "You're a psychologist. We need you." I felt my heart drop. "What do you want?" I asked, my voice trembling. "They never buried their dead," another figure hissed, her voice chilling. "Help us find them." In that moment, I understood the weight of Pine Ridge's secrets. The voices were not just whispers, they were calls for help from the lost souls tied to the Halberts. I had stepped into a darkness I couldn't escape. As the laughter echoed around me, I realized I may have just become part of Pine Ridge's unsettling tradition. I stood paralyzed, surrounded by those ghostly figures. Their demands hung in the air like a suffocating fog. My mind raced, but my body refused to move. "Help us find them," they whispered in unison. The chill of their words sent shivers down my spine. "Find who?" I managed to ask, my voice barely above a whisper. "The ones we lost," the first figure said, stepping closer. I could see his features more clearly now. Handsome but gaunt, his smile was unnaturally wide, stretching his face in a manner that sent fear rushing through me. "Why me?" I breathed. "I am not a detective. I can't help with this." Another figure glided towards me, her expression a mixture of hope and desperation. "You know how to listen. We need you to understand. You will hear their voices." I dropped my gaze, my heart racing. Could I really do this? Did I want to? But as I looked up, their glowing eyes locked on me. Each gaze felt like a thread pulling me closer and closer to whatever fate awaited me here. The laughter faded to a haunting echo, replaced by the low murmurs of despair. "What happened to you?" I dared to ask, curiosity battling with fear. They took everything. The gaunt man's tone shifted, more pleading now. The Halberts still roamed these fields, holding on to their secrets. We were never given peace. A sudden breeze swept through the clearing, carrying the faintest whisper of names. I strained to hear, my breathing hitching as I felt my legs inch closer to the figures. This place held something that wanted to be known. Then the ground moved beneath me. I stumbled back, and they all grew quiet. A flash of moonlight illuminated an old, jagged gravestone hidden behind some overgrown brush at the edge of the estate's yard. "Look," I said, pointing. "Is that?" "Yes," one of them replied, eyes glinting. "Find what was buried, and you may help us find rest." I felt a surge of dread course through me. I was drawn to that gravestone, compelled by a force I couldn't understand. The ground felt alive under my feet. There was something more to discover, but a new fear gripped me. What if I unearthed more than just the past? As I took cautious steps toward the stone, I felt eyes watching from the shadows. Unease twisted in my stomach. I thought I heard my name called again, faint and distant. Suddenly, the ground beneath the gravestone shifted. A muffled thump echoed in the stillness, like something heavy being stirred from its slumber. My heart raced. That's when I saw it. A hand freshly buried, dirt falling away to reveal pale, cold fingers gripping the soil. I gasped, horror dawning in realization. This was no mere resting place. Before I could process what it meant, another laugh erupted from the shadows, a cruel sound that sent a chill down my spine. Panic settled in. I needed to leave, but I was frozen once more. The figures began to chant, their voices rising in an eerie harmony. Find them, help them, unleash them. As the ground shook beneath me and the shadows closed in, I finally understood the true nature of the Halberts tradition. I had stumbled into a game far greater than I imagined, and now I was part of it. Then everything went dark. I woke up on damp earth, the taste of dirt in my mouth. The shadows had receded, leaving me gasping in the silence. The chilling figures had vanished, but their whispers clung to my mind like cobwebs. The moon hung low, casting an eerie glow, and the air was thick with unease. My first instinct was to stand, but my limbs felt heavy. I shifted and sat up, trembling. The gravestone was now fully visible, the words engraved on it stark against the mottled surface. Here lies Jonathan Halbert, lost to darkness, buried by silence. Jonathan. I echoed, feeling the weight of the name settle around me. The figures had mentioned the Halberts. Was this one of them? Had I uncovered a secret too deep to understand? I scrambled to my feet, surveying the clearing. The trees swayed gently, almost as if they were breathing. An icy wind cut through, rattling the branches. I needed answers. My heart hammered in my chest as I approached the gravestone again, hoping to find something more. Then, out of the corner of my eye, I caught movement. My breath caught as I turned sharply, only to find the shadows from earlier dancing at the edge of the clearing once more. The figures were here watching, waiting. Help us, the familiar voice whispered. You must dig. Dig? I echoed in disbelief. What did they want me to uncover? I could feel the weight of their gaze urging me onward. Fear twisted my gut, but curiosity bubbled beneath the surface. If I didn't act, would I find peace or simply succumb to this haunting? Crouching down, I started brushing away loose dirt by the gravestone. My hands trembled, and each handful felt heavier than the last. I soon uncovered more of the stone. Jonathan Halbert still loomed ominously above me, but I noticed something more, a faint outline of a triangle etched into the ground just beside it. What was this? Immediately, I pressed a hand against it, feeling a coolness radiate underneath. The wind picked up, howling through the trees. I hesitated, my instincts screaming at me to stop. What will it reveal? I whispered into the dark. You will know the truth, one of the figures intoned. Their tones no longer seemed insistent, now they felt resigned. Perhaps, they knew I was teetering on the edge of something monumental. I didn't give myself a chance to think. I scraped harder with my fingers, dirt flying, exposing more of that strange symbol. Suddenly, the ground shook again, but this time it was accompanied by a terrible rumble, a heavy sound, like something awakening from long slumber. My heart raced, and panic clutched at my throat. I stumbled backward, narrowly avoiding a heavy stone that shot up from the earth. The shouting began like a chorus of agony that echoed through the air. "Release us!" they cried. "Find them, release them. Undo the curse of the Halberts." I was out of time and out of options. Before I could think, I plunged my hands deeper, driven by an unstoppable force. I was determined to uncover whatever dark secret lay beneath Jonathan's gravestone. But with every passing second, I could feel the shadows closing in. Something was waiting for me in the darkness, and I had to find out what it was before it was too late. As I continued to dig, the air grew colder, a sharp contrast to the heat rising from my frustration. I felt desperation creeping in. I unearthed chunks of damp earth and stones, but every moment felt like, somehow, my efforts were in vain. The shadows circled around me, their whispers blending into a deafening choir of despair. "Faster!" they urged, their voices laced with urgency that sent chills down my spine. I could feel my heart racing as the ground continued to tremble beneath my hands. The triangle's shape grew clearer, the edges sharper, pulling me in. Then, I hit something solid. I froze, my fingers fumbling to clear the dirt around it. My breath caught as I discovered a small, intricately carved box, its wood dark and weathered. A sense of dread surged through me. What chilling secret lay within? In that moment, the shadows began to wane, a flicker of hope igniting in my chest. I could feel the figures leaning closer, as if urging me to take the next step. "Open it," they whispered, and something about the command stirred both fear and excitement. I wasted no time. My fingers fumbled with the small latch, doing my best not to think about what could lie inside. As it clicked open, a sudden rush of wind swirled around, extinguishing the moonlight. I was plunged into an abyss of darkness, barely able to see the box's contents. But then, a faint glow arose from the box, illuminating my surroundings for a brief moment. My heart raced. Nestled inside, I saw old letters, brittle and crumbling, each one adorned with elegant script letters addressed to Jonathan Halbert. "Jonathan!" I whispered again, the name now a lifeline. I reached in, almost trembling with anticipation. As I carefully extracted the top letter, I felt the weight of history in my hands. However, before I could unfold it, a chilling scream pierced the air. My blood turned cold. The figures solidified into a chaotic swarm, their faces shifting, desperate and afraid. "She comes!" they screamed. "You must hurry. Read it, she will not let you escape." Panic surged through me as I clutched the letter. I had no idea who she was, but the urgency of their warning pushed me forward. I unfolded the letter with hurried motions, squinting in the dim light. The words spilled across the page: "To whom it may concern, the Halberts have a secret that must remain buried," but I couldn't finish. I glanced up, sensing movement behind me. Shadows swirled, coalescing into a figure cloaked in darkness, the source of the chilling screams. My body froze as the silhouette took shape, its voice a haunting echo. "You should not have disturbed us," it whispered, the air growing colder around me. In that instant, I realized that unlocking the Halberts' past might come at a cost greater than I ever imagined. Desperation clawed at me. I had to escape this nightmare, but the box remained clenched tightly in my grasp. That I felt the pull of fear gripping my lungs as the figure stepped closer. I had to make a choice. Would I uncover the full truth, risking everything? Or bury the secrets of the past forever, ensuring my own survival? The shadows lingered, and the answer felt just out of reach. I could hear the shadows whispering, their urgency growing louder, blending into a frantic plea. "Hurry!" they begged, and I felt a drop of sweat trickle down my back, mingling with my dread. The figure loomed closer, its presence suffocating. I needed to decide that. I glanced at the letter in my hands. It fluttered like a trapped bird, releasing a cautionary scent of musty paper and lost time. My heart raced, but curiosity tugged at me. "What truth are you hiding?" I muttered under my breath. I had to know. With trembling fingers, I turned the letter over, determined to read further. The words mapped out a lineage of dread, tales of hauntings spiraling out from old man Halbert's era. "The past is a veil," it continued, "torn only by the inquisitive. But tread carefully, some doors, once opened, cannot be closed." Before I could digest the unsettling warning, a sharp chill swept through the air. "She's coming," the whispers hissed. I felt an icy breath on my neck, hot with a promise of doom. Panic surged. I shoved the letter into my jacket and bolted to my feet, but the ground felt spongy, like it was pulling me back. That I swiveled around, searching for the figure. Shadows danced, but now there was an echo of laughter, high-pitched and chilling. "You won't escape," it taunted, reverberating through the emptiness. I took a step back, my instinct screaming at me to flee. Then I saw a glimpse of movement in the shadows. A hand reached out, slender and ghostly, grasping toward me. The urge to run rose within me like a tidal wave. I spun away, blindly plunging deeper into the pine trees, crunching leaves beneath my feet. The stench of decay woven within the air made me gag. Branches whipped against my face as I raced through the underbrush. Somewhere behind me, laughter echoed, taunting me, as if it grew stronger with every hurried step I took. I needed to escape. But escape where? The woods felt alive, a labyrinth of darkness pressing in on me, closing off any chance of sanctuary. That I skidded to a halt, panting, and glanced back. The figure lurked at the edge of the moonlight, its features flickering like shadows on water. "You don't know what you've awakened," it cried, and my blood ran cold. I stumbled backward into something solid, a tree trunk. The world spun, and for a moment, I thought I might fall. Then I felt it, a pull, a subtle tug at my mind, coaxing me back toward the darkness. "You have to turn back," it whispered softly, as if offering solace in despair. The letter burned in my pocket, a silent reminder of the truth buried in history, yet I hesitated, torn between fear and the need to uncover more. Before I could decide, a branch snapped, louder than thunder in the stillness of the night. The figure lunged forward, its form twisting and writhing like smoke. I screamed, turning to run once more, as the reality of my choices crashed over me. I had already disturbed the dead, and now it was time to face the consequences. That I in the distance, through the trees, I saw a faint light flickering, a beacon of hope or another trap. I had to know. I ran toward it, pushing through the branches, desperate to escape the grip of the Halberts' dark legacy. The light grew brighter as I sprinted through the trees, illuminating the path ahead. Each step felt heavier as the laughter faded, but the weight of the shadows lingered. I needed to reach that light, but dread coiled tighter around my chest. Was I running toward safety or deeper into a trap? As I neared the source of the glow, I saw it was an old hunting lodge, its walls weathered and cracked. The door hung ajar, swaying gently as if inviting me inside. I paused, heart hammering, feeling the air thicken around me. The whispers, now softer, stepped back into the corners of my mind. "Go on," they urged, "seek the truth." With a deep breath, I edged closer, crossing the threshold and stepping into the musty interior. A layer of dust covered every surface. Old photographs lined the walls, faces peering out from the past, eyes hollow and haunting. They looked like the kind of people who might have known old man Halbert or the stories that lived in this place. That I felt the chill of the lodge seep into my bones. A flicker above caught my eye, an oil lamp. The flame danced, creating erratic shadows that leapt like memories refusing to stay buried. I reached for it, hoping for light and comfort, but hesitated. Could I trust what was in this house? "Just read," the shadows wailed softly, urging me toward a table laden with yellowed paper and scattered books. Curiosity beckoned. I stepped closer, ready to uncover whatever secrets lay hidden. When I saw it, a small, leather-bound journal sitting off to one side. Its spine was worn, but the cover bore a family emblem, a shield with a twisted tree. I reached for it, feeling a surge of cold energy ripple across my fingers. Opening the journal, I found entries scrawled in an old hand. They chronicled the lives of the Halberts, detailed accounts of death and despair. "The woods listen," one entry read, "and they demand payment." My stomach twisted. What kind of payment? Before I could digest the implications, footsteps echoed outside. Panic surged. I ducked behind the table, heart racing, breaths shallow. Whatever was out there was coming for me. "Stay still," I told myself. "Just listen." The footsteps stopped just outside the door. Silence stretched into an eternity. Then, I heard it, a whisper, barely audible. "Return what is ours." My mind raced. I thought of the letter in my pocket, the memories I had stumbled upon. Was this what they wanted? But then, a cold breeze swept through the lodge, chilling me to the bone, and the door creaked open wide. That I peered out from my hiding spot, my blood turning to ice as I saw the figure silhouetted against the moonlight. It stood there, still and watching. No longer just a shadow, now a body dressed in old-fashioned clothes, face obscured by darkness. "Come," it said, voice soft yet compelling. "You must learn." I froze, caught in its gaze. A shiver crawled up my spine as the truth of the Halberts' legacy clawed its way into my consciousness. This wasn't just a family history, it was a warning. And now, it looked like I was meant to be part of it. I stood frozen, staring at the figure in the doorway. The moonlight barely illuminated its features, but the shadowy outline made my heart pound harder. Every instinct screamed at me to run, but my feet wouldn't budge. The whisper pulled me in, compelling yet terrifying. "Come," it repeated, stepping forward. "You must learn." I should have bolted, but curiosity rooted me to the spot. Was this a member of the Halbert family? Or something worse? As my mind raced through possibilities, I finally mustered the courage to take a step back. The figure paused, tilting its head slightly as if surprised by my hesitation. "Why are you afraid?" it asked, voice dripping with a strange blend of sorrow and authority. That question hung in the air, heavy with meaning. I couldn't voice my fears, couldn't explain how the weight of the past threatened to crush me. "What do you want?" I managed to whisper, feeling naive for even asking. "Your past is entangled with ours," the figure said, its tone softer now. I could almost hear the echo of lost hope in its voice. "You need to understand what binds you to this place." The shadows around it twisted like smoke, creating shapes that seemed to pull at the edges of my mind. Then it stepped back into the darkness, disappearing entirely. My breath quickened, and for a moment, I wondered if I had imagined the entire encounter. Then I remembered the journal. My hands shook as I fumbled it back into my grasp. I flipped through the pages, desperate. "The woods listen." The words burned in my mind. I had to find more, there had to be something that explained this connection. But where to look? The lodge was full of secrets, and the walls felt alive with stories unspoken. The hairs on my neck prickled. I turned the pages faster, each entry revealing more madness, ceremonies, rituals, and strange markings etched into trees. "You must give back what was taken," one entry warned. "And you must face the woods' justice." That last part chilled me. What did it mean to face justice? I glanced outside. The night was still, but a knot in my stomach told me that something was wrong. The whispers from the old letter and the journal melded into a singular reality. I was tied to this place in ways I didn't understand. Just then, the lamp flickered ominously, dimming before I could react. I squinted, trying to see through the growing darkness. And then, I heard it again, the soft thuds of footsteps, not from outside this time but from the hallway beyond the kitchen. I gripped the journal tighter. I wasn't alone. Whether it was just the spirit from the doorway or something else coming to claim what I didn't even know I had, I needed to find out. I needed answers. I stood, heart racing again. This time, I wouldn't hide. I would face what lay beyond the kitchen. I needed to know what justice meant and why they considered me a part of it. That I opened the door, ready to step into the unknown, when suddenly the footsteps halted, and a voice called from the depths of the darkness. "Return what is ours, before it is too late." My breath caught in my throat as I took that first shaky step into the shadows. The darkness engulfed me as I stepped into the hallway, the journal clutched tightly in my hand. The faint light from the kitchen flickered behind me, casting ghostly shadows that danced along the walls. Each step felt heavier, as if the air thickened with unspoken words. That I paused, straining to hear the footsteps again. They were gone. Silence filled the space, stretching thin and taut. I called out, my voice trembling. "Hello? Is anyone there?" No response. That I took a few more steps, each one echoing into the void. The hallway branched to the left and right, lined with portraits of the Halberts glaring down at me. Their eyes seemed to follow, weighing my every move. I couldn't shake the feeling that they were judging me, demanding answers that I did not have. To my left, I spotted the door leading to the cellar. Against my better judgment, I pushed it open. A whiff of damp earth and decay rushed up to greet me. My heart raced, and a sense of foreboding settled in. I could feel the weight of secrets pressing down. That I hesitated, but I also felt a pull. There was something down there. The journal had hinted at rituals, at the connection between the Halberts and the woods. Maybe the answers I sought lay beyond this door. That I descended the creaking steps slowly, trying to keep my breathing steady. The light from my phone illuminated the room, revealing jars and iron tools lined up along the shelves. My instincts screamed for me to turn back, but I pressed deeper. Then, something caught my eye. In the corner, half hidden beneath a dust-covered tarp, lay what looked like an altar. Heart pounding in my chest, I approached it. The tarp fell away, revealing a collection of animal bones and twisted roots arranged meticulously. A chill ran down my spine. This wasn't just a place for forgotten tools, it felt sacred. The atmosphere thickened, oppressive. Instinctively, I glanced around, half expecting the figure from the doorway to materialize before me. But now, only silence answered. I felt a sharp tug of fear. I was stepping into forbidden knowledge, and it was exhilarating and terrifying. As I turned to leave, something caught my foot. I stumbled and fell hard, sending jars clattering to the floor. The loud crash echoed around me, shattering the stillness. In the chaos, I glanced down and saw a note pinned beneath a fallen jar. I pulled it out and blinked in disbelief. "Protect them. You cannot bury what was never dead." I didn't understand. Who were them? What did it mean to protect? My thoughts spiraled as the weight of realization crashed over me. This was more than a warning, it was an ultimatum. The air thickened again, and suddenly the hairs on my arms stood up. I was not alone. My heart raced as I turned in the direction of the dark stairway. The silence had broken, replaced with indistinguishable whispers, then everything went dark. That I gasped. The light from my phone blinked out, plunging me into the void. Panic surged as I scrambled to regain my bearings. A figure loomed in the shadows, and the whisper returned, urgent and frantic, "You must decide. Choose wisely." In that moment, the weight of the Halberts tradition pressed down on me. Whatever choice I was to make, it meant confronting truths that had been buried for far too long. The darkness felt like a living thing, pressing against me from all sides. My phone lay dead in my pocket, and with it, my last sense of comfort. I fumbled along the wall, my fingers brushing against cool, damp stone. I knew I had to get out, but where was out in this suffocating blackness? Suddenly, I heard it again: whispers. They seemed to swirl around me, more distinct now, like forgotten memories calling my name. I strained to listen. Protect them. Choose wisely. I could almost feel them tugging at my thoughts, urging me to understand. The altar still loomed in my mind, its grotesque arrangement of bones and roots. If I could just retrieve the journal, maybe I could uncover its secrets. But my instincts battled with fear. The cellar had cloaked itself in a sinister air, and I was dangerously close to the edge of something unknowable. Decide, the voice insisted, echoing in the stillness. You must decide. I hurried back toward where I thought the stairs were. I stumbled but caught myself. My heart raced with each step. What decision was I supposed to make? Questions flooded my mind as I reached the first step. What if I left without knowing the truth? What if the truth was worse than my fear? I paused, halfway up the stairs. A cold breath of air washed over me, sending chills down my spine, and I hesitated. What do you want from me? I called out. No answer came, but the whispers grew louder, almost deafening. Then, the sound of something moving in the shadows froze me in place. I turned around, my breath hitching in my throat. A figure stepped forward, barely illuminated by the slivers of light from the house above. I couldn't see its face, but it felt familiar. A chill ran through me. Was it a member of the Halbert family? Or something else? Stay back! I shouted, my voice trembling. The figure tilted its head but remained silent. I could barely make out its features, but the impression of deep-set eyes bore into me. The air thickened further, pinching my throat. Then, it raised a hand, slowly pointing towards the altar. I blinked, fighting against the overwhelming urge to flee. What are you? What do you want? Choose, it whispered, its voice now barely audible over the whispers. Protect them or let them roam. Panic surged again. I had no clear understanding of what needed to be protected or what perils awaited those whose names were etched in my memory. My mind raced through frantic possibilities. Could I leave without answering? I thought of the note. I thought of the animals, the dark history of the Halberts. Just as the figure stepped closer, my heart leapt at a resonating crash above me. It seemed to pierce through the whispers, reverberating into the silence. My instincts kicked in. Whatever this was, it wasn't safe. I had to decide now. Without thinking, I lunged back toward the cellar door. I scrambled up the stairs, feeling the cold presence rush behind me. I had to make it to the light above. The whispers turned into urgent hisses. Choose wisely. They cried as I burst through the door. Light hit me like a wave, nearly blinding me after the darkness. I slammed the door shut behind me, gasping for breath. I leaned against it, heart racing, but the words still rang in my ears. Choose wisely. What had I just left behind? I stumbled back into the musty lodge, breathless and wide-eyed. The echoes of the cellar's whispers still clung to me, intertwining with the cacophony of my racing thoughts. My heart thudded in my chest, the air felt thick with unseen eyes, pressing down on me, judging my every choice. That I glanced around the room, looking for anything that might anchor me. The photos seemed to watch me, their hollow eyes mirroring the fear that coursed through my veins. Weeks of unease came rushing back, the voices that called to me at night, the ghostly figures urging me forward, the promise of dark secrets waiting to be unearthed. I had not just stumbled upon a mystery, I had become an unwilling participant in a legacy that demanded something from me. What do I do now? I whispered to myself, feeling the stinging weight of those words. My fingers absently brushed the edge of the journal still tucked in my pocket, an archive of the Halberts' history that could hold the key to understanding, or it could plunge me deeper into despair. Just then, a gust of wind rattled the door, and the shadows danced along the walls. The whispers returned, melding into a dissonant melody. Choose wisely, they echoed again, urging me to contemplate further. In the back of my mind, I felt the gravity of the choices I faced. Did I dare to dig deeper into the Halberts' history? Or did I turn my back on this darkness entirely, accepting the risks that left me forever wondering? The fear from the cellar rushed back like a wave, reminding me of the ghostly figure watching me, the warning it had shared. With trembling hands, I pulled the journal from my pocket, paging through the brittle letters. I found segments about the souls connected to Pine Ridge, the lost and the restless. The last entry struck me: to protect the wood is to protect ourselves. They ask and demand, but choices must align. A flicker of resolve ignited within me. I didn't know how much more I could take, but I also felt that residing in ignorance would not bring me peace. I recalled the chilling chant, and the undercurrent of desperation in those phantom figures needing my help. But at what price? Sucking in a breath, I decided to confront whatever it was I had unleashed. Whatever had been stirred beneath Jonathan's gravestone had left a marker, the albatross of guilt trailing behind my every thought. "I have to find out what you want," I said into the silence, the words hanging heavy in the air. That I stepped toward the door, compelled to enter the night again, armed with the knowledge I had collected. The darkness outside carried an allure, as if beckoning me back to the heart of the Halberts' legacy. Shadows rolled like waves across the ground, but I pushed the fear aside, clenching the journal tightly in my grip. Perhaps answers lay in the woods. Perhaps the choice was not only about digging deeper into the Halberts' past but also planning my return to reclaim my hope. The air outside bit at my skin, and a bracing gust whooshed through the trees, sending a shiver down my spine. I stepped forward, ready to confront whatever awaited in the gloom. The flickering moonlight guided me, but doubt slithered alongside each determined stride. I was stepping into a world blurred between the natural and the supernatural, a realm that blurred existence and echoes of the past. As I walked away from the lodge, the whispers swelled again, swirling around me like a haunting melody. "Protect them," they urged, "or let them roam." The weight of that choice sank deep into my bones as I made my way to the Halbert estate. The ancient trees loomed above, branches clawing at the night sky, but the gravestone was my destination, a reminder of Jonathan Halbert and the secrets waiting to be unearthed. In escaping the tether of fear that had once held me hostage, I felt free to confront the enigma. I would not be a mere bystander in Pine Ridge, I would unveil its buried truths. Yet with every determined step, uncertainty lay coiled in my chest. Would I ever fully understand the pact I was weaving? Or would I find that some truths shattered more than they revealed? As I approached the estate, the tension wrapped around me like a shroud, and all I could do was step forward, embracing whatever mysteries lay ahead. I still think about that night sometimes, the shadows and whispers of Pine Ridge intertwined with the fragile echoes of my reality. But what truly haunts me is not the question of what happened but rather what lies ahead. I suppose not all stories come with clear endings.